Hello and welcome to the Weird Science YouTube channel. And this week I'm going to be reviewing a book that I believe hasn't been given a fair shake. And that book is Nightwing. And I'll be talking about issue number 63. And the question is this Year of the Villain issue the right one for me to convince anyone or everyone that Ric Grayson and the Nightwing squad ain't so bad after all? Well, let's find out. Why don't people understand my intentions? Alright, and like I said, it is Nightwing number 63, written by Dan Jurgens, art by Ronan Cliquette, colors by Nick Filardi, letters by N-World Design, and a cover by Bruno Redondo. And the issue opens up with the reader being told that Bludhaven has recently been hit by rolling blackouts. Okay, does this have something to do with the Year of the Villain? I mean, these issues are called The Dark Gifts, right? Did Dan Jurgens hear that and really take it that literally? I just imagine that Mr. DC called up Dan Jurgens and that, "Hey there, Danny, we're calling these things the Dark Gifts, so make it dark." And yes, that is actually Mr. DC himself. And I guess the real villain of the story, it might be Bludhaven Power Company. I mean, why doesn't Grayson call up his pal Barbara Gordon, get some of that Gordon clean energy over here in the blood? Oh yeah, Rick doesn't even remember her, and Barbara lost her company to those evil Brits. The rolling blackouts might be odd, and the lack of any sort of police force in this entire issue feels weird, but I like that we get Rick and Zach, who is Nightwing Blue, working together. While I wish that DC would just give Nightwing a Marvel-esque recap page to avoid the constant in-issue recap, we do get a quick description of the situation, and it's right to kicking bad guys in the face. And I'll give these guys credit, though while the rest of Bludhaven baddies are smashing windows and setting fires, they're stealing paintings from the art museum by just going in, grabbing them, and loading them into a van. Again, where are the police? Where's the museum security guards? Maybe their clocks stopped working with the power being out, never showed up for work. I mean, get some battery backup, people. Overall, it's a pretty good scene that shows how the Nightwing squad works differently than Grayson used to, and gives us some good old buddy cop vibes between Zach and Rick. Plus, we get a fist bump, and that's always a plus in my book. The rest of the squad shows up conveniently to miss all the work that had to be done because they were busy across town. And Rick is off to his day job, driving his cab. It doesn't take long to pick up his first fare, and it's William Cobb. So why did we just hear that dramatic music from the old viral video, The Dramatic Chipmunk? Well, let me explain. William Cobb is a Talon from the Court of Owls, who also happens to be Ric Grayson's great-grandfather. You see, Rick, well, actually Dick, was being groomed to be a Talon himself, and would have been if his parents hadn't died, and that meddling rich guy Bruce Wayne hadn't adopted him. It's been a sticking point for William Cobb ever since, and has caused Grayson himself some problems as well. I actually think that Dan Jurgens could have set it up a little better, and yes, I'm suggesting some recap in a book that's been criticized for its overuse of recap. The two exchange the type of small talk that makes me never want to ride a cab ever in my life. You see, I have crippling social anxiety, but William Cobb flashes some steel, and then in case we didn't realize what was actually going on, we see a Talon mask reflected in Cobb's eye. I can only hope those are Court of the Owl signature contacts that you get when you enter the Talon Union. I really, really hope they didn't pick those contacts over a dental plan. Two other things that I want to point out from this scene. It seems the blackouts only happen at night because, that's when it's dark, and Ric Grayson looks a lot like Scott Snyder here. We continue with Rick heading off to his girlfriend Bea's bar, because collecting one fare is totally exhausting, where he falls asleep at the bar like a stinking drunk, only to wake up that night for, you guessed it, another blackout. After a goodbye kiss and some liberal application of grease paint, it's off to Vigilante. If you couldn't tell from the name, it becomes very, very clear that Bludhaven is an awful, awful place. The city's on fire, and I don't mean they have a rocking nightlife. It's actually on fire with flames. Again, where are the police? Why isn't someone checking in on these rolling blackouts and why they are happening? Oh well, it does give us one of the most unintentionally funny scenes I've read in a long time. While the Nightwing squad, and particularly Zack, are doing their own thing, Rick stops some looters and then gets all Dangerous Minds with them. If there was a random chair on the street, you know he'd be turning it around because it's time to dish out some real talk. He tells these thugs that they shouldn't hurt the city. They should help it. So you're saying I should stop breaking windows and setting fires and help the city instead? Why, yes, that's what you should do. Does stealing TVs help the city? Because, I really, really want a new TV. No, that doesn't help the city. Damn it. How about I steal like a coffee maker and set a few small fires but put them out real quick? You know what? I think you're getting it, and like they said in that old cartoon, getting it is half the solution.
A reading rainbow, a reading rainbow, a reading rainbow, a reading rainbow, a reading rainbow.
All this is just a diversion to make sure that Zack is left alone so he can be gutted by William Cobb for being a Nightwing fraud. If that's not bad enough, William Cobb's next stop is to visit Rick's girlfriend, Bea. Overall, this was an okay issue. My biggest problem is figuring out William Cobb's motivation. He really shouldn't be concerned with who is playing Nightwing, and I don't know what message he might be trying to send Rick by doing all this stuff. Maybe he is just there strictly to hurt Rick and those he cares for, but why would he need the Lex Luthor offer to do that? If he's there to take Rick into the Talon fold, the amnesia seems to be the perfect way to convince him to do just that, especially since Cobb could use the long-lost relative angle with it. I guess it's just the idea that Year of the Villain stuff has to be big and dark, but I think this story would have been served better as its own thing, where it could have been played out more subtly. Still, this issue does give us the Nightwing squad coming together more and actually protecting the city since the police are MIA, and ends with a cliffhanger that definitely has me interested to see what happens next. The art is decent, though I wish Rick had a more consistent look, and it actually is not a bad issue for those who want to check in and see what all the hubbub with Ric Grayson is all about. I do think that people wrote this book off too quickly after Dick became Rick, and while it hasn't been the best book at DC since then, it's nowhere near the worst in my opinion. We will get Dick Grayson back eventually, and then maybe we can all get along again. And I'll give this book 7 out of 10 talons, which I've heard Falconeers call a twaggle. And you can look that up, people. Thanks for watching this video. If you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you have any suggestions, reply in the comments section below. Now, I know that all of the big YouTubers have cool sign-offs and things, so I think I need one as well. So I'm going to go with see you next time. If you like what you heard here, why not check out our podcast? We have a DC Comics podcast and a Marvel Comics podcast, both of which come out every single Sunday night. Also, if you want to support us for these videos and everything else that we do, go over and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/weirdscience, where you will get a plethora of more shows and things that you can enjoy.